Hey everyone, welcome back to Top 10 Tuesday. I'm Scott. My camera's working again. How is that happening? I don't know. There doesn't seem to be any logic to when it will just suddenly stop working even when I put fresh batteries in it. But I let it sit for about a week and then put new fresh batteries in it and now it's working again. I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm glad it's working because I was planning on using it this weekend. Marathon. So, Top 10 Tuesday. We have, our theme this week is favorite comedies, motion picture comedies from 2000 and up to now. Last week, of course, we did everything up to the year 2000. And I missed a couple of comedies that I love. I just forgot all about them. I don't know how I could have forgotten them. But first of all, someone in one of their lists mentioned After Hours by Martin Scorsese. I'm like, how could I forget that one? It's one of my favorite movies of the 80s, one of my top 20 movies of the 80s. Instead I had like Top Secret and Switching Channels on there, and although I really like those movies a lot, they're not nearly as good as After Hours. Seriously, After Hours is totally awesome. Griffin Dunne is the main character. It takes place in New York in the present, and he basically goes to Soho to meet Rosanna Arquette because she's a cute girl that he just met, and then he gets into a whole bunch of trouble in a bunch of different ways. Really funny movie. Also, Dr. Strangelove. How could I forget that one? Mr. Kubrick. One of the funniest movies ever. Peter Sellers, George C. Scott, Sterling Hayden. Yeah. Man, I don't know how I could have missed that one, but I was sort of focused on 80s to the present, really, because that's what I was watching back then all the time. Not so much the older ones. I mean, if it was an older movie, it was like a Hitchcock movie. And Hitchcock didn't make comedies, really. He made thrillers. They had comedy in them, but they were thrillers. So, what are we doing now? The new comedies right here that I want to talk about. I will start, I guess, with the ones from 2000. Again, I didn't rank these really, but pretty much all of these made my best of year list, with the exception of Superbad and Borat. Those are the only two that I didn't put on a top 10 list. Or maybe I did, just not high enough, you know, like 12. But again, that's not on a top 10 list, as you know. Borat, of course, Sacha Baron Cohen's mock doc. Really, really funny movie. My face hurt, actually, from laughing so much when I saw that movie. And there was a big theater that I was watching it, and it was just packed, and everyone was laughing their butts off. What a great experience to see that movie under those circumstances. Really, really funny. And Superbad, man, I laughed my butt off during that one too. Jonah Hill and Michael Cera, of course, the main characters. Emma Stone, first movie I saw Emma Stone in. Oh my goodness, she was amazing. Martha McIsaac played the girl Michael Cera's sweet on. Plus Seth Rogen, Joe Latrulio, and some guy whose name I can't remember is Seth Rogen's partner. I know who this guy is. Can't remember his name. Sorry about that. But it was directed by I'm terrible at this right now. Comedies, I don't pay attention to directors with comedies all that much. Like Borat, I couldn't tell you who the director of... No, it's Larry Charles, right? No, I don't think so. It's somebody else. Superbad, the director of Superbad, he did at least one other film that I haven't seen, as is the case with most directors. Well, but yeah, really, really funny movie, of course. So let me start with the ones from 2000. Two in particular, Nurse Betty, which is a comedy that Neil LaBute directed, a very different kind of film for him. Normally he does sort of dramas with like extremely nasty, selfish people, and Nurse Betty is a pretty sweet movie. It's Renee Zellweger. She's a soap opera fan, totally obsessed with the soap opera, and then one day she watches a couple of hitmen kill her husband and scalp him, and so she goes a little bit nuts and thinks that she's a character in the soap opera who's trying to find her biggest love, who is a doctor, who of course is actually an actor played by Greg Kinnear. The hitmen are played by Morgan Freeman and Chris Rock. There's a lot of really good actors like Allison Janney, Aaron Eckhart, Crispin Glover, really good cast. It was my favorite movie that year. I liked it even more than Gladiator. It's a great movie, terrific movie, really like it a lot. The other big comedy that I loved from that year is Time Code. Whenever anyone asks me for a suggestion on something maybe obscure they haven't seen, I always suggest Time Code, no matter who they are, because you never know who's going to like the movie and who wasn't. Some people don't like the movie as much. Jay the Stingray actually saw the film at my request and did a video on it. He didn't love it or anything like that, but he thought it was kind of interesting. So I'm like, great, I'm glad that he got something out of it. There were a couple guys actually that posted a review of Timecode a couple of years ago that I happened to see, I finally get caught up with, and they didn't like it at all, but their review is really funny, so it's okay. Not everyone's going to like it. It's a big ensemble comedy. It's got the 4 screens, the 4 images, the 4 cameras rolling at the same time, and the sound migrates between screens. I guess you need a good sound system to fully appreciate it, because I think Jay mentioned that he could only hear like 2 channels, and the other 2 were like completely silent. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. That's not a good way to watch the movie at all. You need to be able to hear all 4. But yeah, it's a really cool sort of real-time experiment. There are no cuts at all, and it's just like all 4 cameras are coordinated to weave in between each other throughout the entire hour and a half running time as we watch these characters fumble about and act stupidly around a major studio. It's kind of dumb. You know, some of the characters are a little dumb right here, but the whole experimental nature of it is a lot of fun. So I gotta recommend that one. In 2002, we had a movie called Super Troopers by the Broken Lizard guys. It was directed by Jay Chandrasekhar. Chandrasekhar, I love saying that name. One of the members of the troupe, and you know, the guys in the troupe, basically, they all have major parts. They're basically state patrollers, right? And they come into conflict with the local cops and who hate them or think that they're goofballs, and they are. They're goofballs. They spend half their time goofing off. That's what's so much fun about this movie. Really, really, really funny movie. Really enjoyed it. In 2003, we had Matchstick Men, which is an odd, lighthearted film from Ridley Scott, of all people. Nicolas Cage and Sam Rockwell are a couple of con artists. They're trying to pull a big scam on a mark, and then Nicolas Cage's teenage daughter, played by Alison Lohman, shows up. And he sort of is, you know, thrown for a loop because he's a very sort of particular ordered guy, and she's just like a messy teenager. Dealing with her is really fun. Really exciting movie. Surprising. Really kind of surprising when I first saw it. And when they marketed the movie, they did something very, very clever, which I'm not going to talk about because it ruins one of the surprises of the movie, but they were very clever about how they promoted the movie. Yeah, fun movie. I watched it for the marathon that I did in December. One of the movies I picked for the marathon because I hadn't seen it in a long time. In 2004, Shaun of the Dead. Yeah! Such a great movie. Of course, this is one of those films by those British guys. What are their names? Oh no, Simon Pegg. Yes, Simon Pegg. Of course, and the director, whose name also escapes me, he did This Is the End as well, and he did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and he did Hot Fuzz, right? Yeah. Whenever I get on camera these days, it seems I have a lot of trouble just pulling names off the top of my head. It's the pressure. The pressure of appearing on camera makes me freeze up. Yeah, no, sorry, I still can't remember the guy's name. But Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are the main characters, and they're living in London, and it's a zombie apocalypse, and they're dealing with that in a very humorous way. Very, very funny film. Really like that a lot. Also, in early 2004, 51st Dates, an Adam Sandler movie, the odd Adam Sandler movie that I really, really got a lot out of. Made my top 10 of the year. Another one of his movies with Drew Barrymore. He's got another one coming out in a couple of months. And in this one, he's trying to romance her, but she has a memory problem. She was in a car accident, and her memory gets wiped basically every night when she goes to sleep. So every morning she wakes up and she thinks it's the exact same day. Luckily, they live in Hawaii, where it's always warm, and it's not like she wakes up in the middle of the winter and it's just like, whoa, what happened? It snowed overnight and it's actually July. No, nothing like that. But it's a very sweet movie and poignant. And you have that sort of crude, raunchy Adam Sandler humor, but it's divided with some more poignant moments. I really like Drew a lot, love Drew. So yeah, this is a cool movie. And I like movies about amnesia. I think movies about amnesia are just fun. Probably a horrible condition to actually have. But yeah, it makes for a fun movie. In 2005, Shane Black directed his first film, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He wrote a bunch of movies, but this is the one that he directed for his first, and then he went on to do Iron Man 3 last year. Robert Downey Jr., of course, plays the lead, Michelle Monaghan, who was on True Detective recently. I just got caught up with all the True Detective episodes. It's a really good show. And, of course, Val Kilmer as the private eye. There's a couple of cases, and he's like training to be an actor in a film where he's playing a private eye, so he's riding along with Val Kilmer, learning how to be a private eye. And there's a mystery to solve. It's just craziness. There's just a bunch of craziness. The plot is really complicated. I had to watch the movie at least 3-4 times before I figured it all out. But it's a really fun movie. Liked it a lot. Here's the funny thing, and I think that Shane Black did this on purpose. There's a scene in which Michelle Monaghan is talking with Downey, and the shot that's focused on her, you see the back of his head, and the tag is sticking up out of his shirt. You know, behind the collar on your shirt, the tag sticks up, right? And I thought to myself, ooh, look at that, the tag's sticking up. That could be a continuity error. I bet when you cut back to him at some point, it's going to be down because it's a different take, right? So in the very next shot, she says, do me a favor and turn around. And she fixes the tag. She wasn't even looking at it. I'm like, Shane Black did that on purpose. He knew that we would all notice that tag and we would be focusing on that for the scene, and he had Michelle Monaghan fix it right away. I'm just like, oh. So clever. Very, very clever. Fun movie. Really fun. And full of that great Shane Black humor from The Last Boy Scout, because The Last Boy Scout's a movie that he wrote. Really, really nasty, sort of like mean-spirited humor. There's a lot of that in this movie. I liked it. And Don John is my number 10 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, Don John is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's comedy from last year. Really impressed by this movie. Good directing, nice editing, and it's a really interesting story. You get this guy, and it appears to be about a guy who's trying to handle his relationship with this girl played by Scarlett Johansson, and also satisfy his need for porn. But the real theme of the movie is habitual living and trying to break out of that and really living to the fullest by not always engaging in this routine. And that's what his whole life is. It's the routine, the family dinners, the work, church on Sundays, hanging with his friends, going to the clubs, you know, the porn as well as that, but it's all part of this routine. Cleaning, whatever, you know, it's all part of his routine, and so it's all about breaking out of that. I really like the movie a lot. A couple of honorable mentions I want to talk about. Silver Linings Playbook by David O. Russell, really fun movie, loved that a lot. Our Idiot Brother with Paul Rudd, that's a really fun film. Crazy Stupid Love with Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell. Emma Stone again, yes, awesome. And Julianne Moore again. Julianne Moore was in Don John, by the way. Crashing is a kind of obscure, very, very small budget indie movie. And it's very, very obviously shot on video. The digital cameras were not, you know, as nice as they are now, so it really looks like it was shot on video. But it's a really cool film. Campbell Scott plays the main character. He's an author, and he gets kicked out of his house by his wife, and his bank account gets frozen. So he ends up lying on the couch and staying at the apartment of a couple of college students played by Isabella Miko and another name that I forgot. Anyway, 2 young women in school who are also going to be writers. He says, I tell you what, you know, if you let me stay on your couch, I'll review your work for you. So yeah, that's a fun movie, a really fun movie. Very, very small scale. And I also want to mention a film that Bobcat Goldthwait directed called Sleeping Dogs Lie. I've seen a couple of his movies. This one and World's Greatest Dad. And I like World's Greatest Dad, but Sleeping Dogs Lie is a really good one. It's a really cool movie. I don't want to talk about it too much because I want to keep my video somewhat family friendly. But let's say it involves a girl talking about something she did in her past that everyone is just sort of like, stay away from me. Once they find out about it, they're like, hey, you, stay away from me. I don't want to associate with you in any way. It's a comedy though. And it's fun though. So that's my video. Those are my top 10 comedies post-2000. Any other videos on this same subject? Anyone else doing Top 10 Tuesdays? I will, if I see them, if I find them, I will put links in the description below so you can see them as well. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Bye.